Ghosts aren't real. They can't hurt you, they can't touch physical things, and they definitely can't testify in a court of law. Except for one time, when one did. In the winter of 1897, a man almost committed the perfect murder. He had a rock-solid alibi. The local doctor officially ruled the death a natural tragedy. The town accepted it, the family grieved, and the case was closed. But then, the victim came back. Not as a figment of imagination or a grief-fueled dream, but as a chilling, aggressive apparition that laid out every single graphic detail of her own murder. Her ghostly testimony was taken so seriously by state officials that it forced them to dig up her grave. And what they found inside that frozen coffin shocked the entire nation. Our log begins in Greenbrier County, West Virginia. The year is 1896. Meet Zona Heaster. She's a young, vibrant woman from a traditional mountain family. Her life changes when a handsome, charismatic drifter named Erasmus Shue rolls into town. He finds work as a blacksmith, a trade that gives him immense physical upper body strength. He's charming, he's attentive, and Zona falls heavily for him. Within just a few weeks of meeting, they marry. Zona's mother, Mary Jane Heaster, feels a deep, immediate sickness in her stomach about the match. She doesn't trust Erasmus. She thinks his charm is a mask hiding something dark. But in the late 19th century, a mother's intuition isn't enough to stop a wedding. The young couple moves into a secluded, 2-story frame house down the road. The marriage lasts less than 3 months. On January 23rd, 1897, a local boy named Andy Jones is sent by Erasmus to the house to see if Zona needs anything from the market. The boy walks up the porch, knocks, and gets no answer. The door is unlocked. He steps inside, expecting to find Zona cooking. Instead, he finds her lying at the bottom of the staircase. She's stretched out, completely still, her eyes staring blankly at the ceiling. The boy runs for help, screaming down the road. The local doctor and coroner, Dr. George Knapp, is called to the scene. But it takes him nearly an hour to arrive. And during that hour, something highly unusual happens. Erasmus Shue rushes home. Before the doctor can get there, Erasmus takes his dead wife's body upstairs to their bedroom. By the time Dr. Knapp steps into the room, Erasmus has already washed the body and dressed his dead wife in her finest clothing, a high-necked, stiff-collared dress with a heavy veil covering her face. As the doctor begins his examination, Erasmus stands over the bed, cradling his wife's head, weeping uncontrollably. But it isn't just grief. Every single time Dr. Knapp tries to touch Zona's neck or look beneath the collar, Erasmus flies into a violent, protective rage. The doctor is intimidated. He's alone in a house with a massive, enraged blacksmith. Wanting to escape the tension, Dr. Knapp stops the exam. He quickly lists the cause of death as everlasting faint, which was a Victorian-era medical term for a sudden heart failure, and signs the death certificate. Zona is buried in the local cemetery, and Erasmus looks like a tragic widower. The perfect crime. No evidence, no suspicion. But Zona's mother, Mary Jane, refuses to believe her healthy, young daughter just dropped dead. She removes a yellow sheet from Zona's coffin before it's buried, tries to wash it, and notices the wash water turns a bizarre, deep red. She prays every single night for a sign, begging for the truth. And exactly 4 weeks after the funeral, her prayers are answered in the most terrifying way possible. According to sworn legal documents, the spirit of Zona Heaster manifests in Mary Jane's bedroom over 4 consecutive nights. The room drops to freezing temperatures. The apparition speaks in a cold, hollow voice. It explains that Erasmus wasn't a grieving husband. He was a monster. It describes a violent argument over dinner because Erasmus thought she hadn't prepared meat. And then, the spirit does something that changes this from a dream into a terrifying reality. To prove how she died, the spirit physically spins its head completely around on its shoulders, facing backward, showing Mary Jane that her neck vertebrae had been violently snapped between the first and second joints. Mary Jane doesn't hide in fear. She goes straight to the local prosecutor, a man named John Alfred Preston. She spends hours inside his office, recounting exactly what the apparition told her. Now, normally, a seasoned prosecutor would laugh a ghost story right out of the building. But Preston notices something critical. Mary Jane isn't speaking in vague terms. She is giving highly specific, advanced anatomical details about neck trauma that an uneducated mountain woman couldn't possibly invent. Driven by curiosity and growing town gossip, Preston orders a full exhumation. They march out to the snowy cemetery, dig up Zona's coffin, and wheel it into a local schoolhouse. A team of 3 prominent doctors performs a proper autopsy right there, over the course of 3 intense days. Erasmus Shue is forced to attend, watching from the corner. The autopsy results shock the medical team. It matches the ghost's testimony exactly. Zona's neck vertebrae were completely fractured. Her windpipe was crushed, showing distinct fingerprint bruising. Her neck had been violently snapped. Erasmus Shue is arrested on the spot and charged with first-degree murder. The trial begins in the summer of 1897, and it becomes a media circus. The prosecutor, knowing the jury might doubt a ghost story, builds a case entirely on circumstantial evidence and the autopsy. But the defense makes a strategic gamble. They call Mary Jane to the stand and force her to talk about the ghost. They want to make her look completely insane in front of the jury, destroying her credibility. The gamble backfires completely. Mary Jane stands her ground. Under intense cross-examination, she recounts the spirit's visits with such fierce, unshakable conviction and emotional truth that the courtroom goes dead silent. The jury doesn't see a crazy woman. They see a mother who was given justice from beyond the grave. The jury deliberates for just 1 hour and 10 minutes. The verdict? Guilty. Erasmus Shue is sentenced to life in prison. Soon after, investigators dig into his past and discover a horrific pattern. Zona was his 3rd wife. His first wife divorced him for extreme violence. His 2nd wife died under highly mysterious, sudden circumstances. Zona was just the first one who figured out a way to speak out against him. Erasmus Shue died in prison 3 years later from an epidemic. Zona's tombstone still stands in the Greenbrier Cemetery today, accompanied by an official state historical marker that notes her as the Greenbrier Ghost. This remains the first and only legal case in American history where the testimony of a ghost successfully convicted a killer. It forces you to look a little closer at the shadows when the night gets quiet. Because sometimes, the dead don't stay buried, especially when they have a debt to settle. If you want to keep reviewing the files the history books try to ignore, hit that follow. The booth stays open all night. Stay safe.